Believe it or not, but there was a time before Five Nights at Freddy's. Before Freddy and the gang, before all the memes, and before the furries' crippled good taste. Scott Cawthons was just another hardworking man trying to earn his living as a game developer. During this time, he released many short indie games, one of them being The Desolate Hope. Released in 2012, The Desolate Hope is a significant but often overlooked milestone in Scott Cawthons' career. The game has earned a faithful following over the years, but it never reached beyond the status of cult phenomena. While showcasing a style and feel that would eventually find its way into the Five Nights at Freddy's games, The Desolate Hope offers a fundamentally different experience. The Desolate Hope boasts a very heavy-handed story. In the distant future of who the fuck knows, a team of derelict robots are tasked to prepare for the end of the world. On a remote space station, they create 4 simulations meant to house humanity as it eventually will migrate from Earth. These simulations are now under attack by a mysterious virus. In the shape of Coffee, the supervisor of the simulations, you're an old gaming CPU teaming up with the robots to destroy the virus and save the future of mankind. Welcome to Melonville. This is where my real life is. The only home anyone can ever truly have is the home they build within. Scott Cawthons doesn't shy away from asking the really big questions in The Desolate Hope. What really is the meaning of life? How do we find purpose in the vast existence of the universe? But while it touches upon really interesting subject matters, it sometimes feels like you're reading a visual novel. The Desolate Hope sets out to tell a really deep and complex story, and while it hits right most of the time, it so desperately wants to delve into its own themes it doesn't really know when to shut up. Welcome to the future of mankind. It's a work in progress, but I think it's undeniable that how humans might populate and develop. Like the other Ds, my mission was to run simulations on the... As bloated as the story and script can be, however, it doesn't really compare to the very, shall we say, stylized visuals. They are really over-exaggerated, and their uncanny qualities is hard to stomach at first. One thing that looks really good, however, is the main characters. The designs of Alphas, Malins, BioBeta and Mirad, as well as the viruses they fight, are full of personality. This doesn't only apply to their designs, however, which we will see later on. But before all that, there are some things we need to address here. The Desolate Hope is very hard to wrap your head around. For every awesome character design, there's a really awful looking background. For every great story beat, there's a wall of text weighing it down. There are things that I really like with the Desolate Hope, but many times they are expressed without any real subtlety or sense of enough is enough. It favors style over viability, and while there inherently isn't anything wrong with that, the experience comes across as very double-natured. The problem is, we have just scratched the surface by this point. There's a lot of stuff to take care of here. The majority of the Desolate Hope plays is a watered-down Metroidvania, but once you encounter the viruses, it takes a bold step into RPG territory. And boy is it a bold step. Stuff is getting thrown at you from left and right, every inch of the screen is on fire, and there's just so much stuff going on here. But once you get the hang of it, the battles are easily the high points of the game. They are deep and complex, and you need to adapt your playstyle in order to defeat the viruses. There are also numerous buffs and upgrades you can unlock to give you an edge in battle. Give me all of your shit! And every member of your team has its own unique set of abilities. Learning and mastering every character's abilities is really fun, and gives the Desolate Hope some replay value. Ha! Nice! But it is a long road to get there, and the game demands a lot from the player. The glaring issue here is that the greatest feature of the Desolate Hope is also what might finally turn you away from it. The battles are exhausting, the interface is on purpose chaotic, and if you fail, you are met with a stoic, too bad, try again. Okay, so Malins is already dead, huh? Malins is already dead. Really? I barely had any chance to do f***ing anything. Why does that happen? That is such bullshit. While I get that's the very idea behind a good challenge, the game shoots itself in the foot by being so ambiguous. It leaves you completely dumbstruck and makes no attempt whatsoever clarifying what and why things went wrong. And this ambiguity is echoed through the rest of the game. It went so far that I actually had to look up a guide in order to make sense of how it works. It is painfully close to be crushed below its own depth and complexity. The Desolate Hope really isn't for everyone. While it has some really good content to dig into, its negative features gives you a really hard time to actually appreciate it. If the visual style doesn't turn you away, the ambiguous gameplay certainly will. But at the end of the day, I still find myself really enjoying the Desolate Hope. Despite all my criticism, the Desolate Hope has something that many games completely lack, and that is personality. Even though the script is pretty full of itself, even though the aesthetics and the gameplay doesn't mesh together that well, even though said gameplay is way too ambiguous for its own good, it somehow manages to be a really fun and rewarding experience. Well, all my guys are at full health at least. And no, not anymore. You can tell that Scott really poured his soul into the Desolate Hope. And as controversial as he might be, Scott Cawthons isn't a fraud. He knows how to make a good game, and he has his own distinct style as a game developer. He is pretty much a gaming auteur, sometimes for good and sometimes for bad. As a good challenge, or maybe even more so as a gaming novelty, it serves its purpose well. And while it might be a little bit too in love with its own quirks, the Desolate Hope is a fascinating experience.